All right, so we are continuing on learning about infrastructure as code solutions for S3. We did CloudFormation, we did Terraform. Let's go ahead and do CDK. So CDK, which stands for Cloud Developer Kit, it is by AWS Development Kit. It is a way for you to use your favorite programming language to create infrastructure as code, and it produces CloudFormation underneath. So that's the way it works. Some people really like it. Some people don't like it as much. I would like it more if there was a Ruby provider for the language, but there is not. So for me, I'm disinterested in it because it doesn't have what I like. But anyway, what we can do is get started with it. So I'm just trying to find the instructions here. It's probably on GitHub. I've done this many times, but I always struggle a little bit with CDK, because it is a little bit of a pain to set up at the start. But I'm going to go over to CloudFormation because I think that I already have part of it implemented from before, and I want to just tear that down. So in here I have the CDK toolkit. This is what you need to have installed in order to work with it. So, and then we have the workshop stack. So I'm going to tear down both of these. I just don't want to have these in place. But you shouldn't have these. You set them up once, at least. I'm not sure about this one, but this one you definitely only set up once. So I just want to tear those down. This might take a little bit of time. Just give me a moment. Actually, we'll just continue on as we're waiting here. So CDK, we have it for JavaScript, TypeScript, Python, Java, .NET, Go. The first language that came out was the TypeScript one. So these are not always 100% up to date. So you want to work with the one that is the latest. We're going to work with TypeScript here today. We'll go to the getting started. And there are actually a few different ways to install the CDK CLI. I believe that npm is not just the only way, but it's the way that I like to install it. So let's go ahead and do that. So we'll open up our Git pod environment. Use whichever cloud developer environment you want to use. I'm just using this one because it's super easy. And it's easy for you to utilize as well. So we'll open up that there, and that's the first thing we're going to want to do is install that CLI tool. So we'll go down here. I'm going to put it in my gitignore file, or sorry, my gitpod YAML file. And I'm going to say name, we'll say CDK. We'll put a before here, and I'm just going to install this one-line command here. Now I'm just doing this for later, but I'm just going to install it in place. I'm not going to restart my gitpod just for this. I'm just going to make a new tab here, and we are going to install this. So this is installing with npm. And it's globally installing. That's what the -g flag is for, so we can just write AWS CDK anywhere we like to utilize it, or just CDK. We can apparently initialize a starting project, which is a great idea. I like that idea. I'm going to just cd into our S3 IAC directory, and I'm going to call this project CDK. So we'll go here, and I'm just going to paste this in. I'm just going to change this to CDK. So that it generates the folder as that. And it's going to set us up with TypeScript. So if we drop this down into our IAC, we should see that folder. Okay, so I guess that's the sample template. I thought that that was the name of it, but apparently not. And actually, we have to create our folder first. So I was wrong. Sorry. Let's do this. And I guess we'll just go with the sample project. Not how I would do it, but that's just how the CDK team rolls. So go into here. IAC CDK. We'll paste that in again. So I guess that's the sample app. It's going to do some stuff for us. We'll just expand that. It's going to make a bunch of stuff. And we do get our own gitignore in here, so it should ignore all the stuff that we don't want to have. So now this project is set up. With npm, you usually want to do an npm install. It might have already done this, but I'm going to do it anyway. I is short for install. We can see that it's installed because we have a node modules directory. Let's take a look at what packages we have here. So we have AWS CDK library, okay, TypeScript, of course. It's configured to use it. TypeScript can be a little bit of a pain to use if you don't know how to use it, but in the constructs of this, it should be very easy. So the way it works is we have this CDK. No, this is just configuration for CDK. It's in our lib directory. There should be, yeah, here it is, CDK stack. And we can create multiple stacks and include them in here. We're not going to go super complicated here. But we have an example to create a simple SQS queue, and then it's creating a topic. I don't want to do that. I want to create some S3 stuff. So I'm going to get rid of subscriptions and this here, and it's very conventional, so I'm going to assume this is S3. It autocompletes to that, so that looks correct to me. And I'm just going to go and start typing it in. Maybe it'll start autocompleting. That'd be really nice. Oh, it does. This is so nice. Because CDK, I believe, has an extension. Let's see here. Does CDK have an extension? I don't know, but it is autocompleting, which is really nice. AWS CDK. Oh, you know what? That's just TypeScript. I forgot. TypeScript does that. So, if you have and there might be a plugin for it, but that's just your usual TypeScript autocompletion. So I'm not sure why it's autocompleting, but I'm just now remembering TypeScript is really good about that. So let's just start typing and see what we get. So there's S3. I'm going to say, can we do bucket? No, create bucket. Oh, you know what? We have to call this S3, or otherwise it's not going to autocomplete correctly. There we go. So we'll go here and we'll type in S3. Create bucket. Nope. Just type in bucket here. Create. Probably pass the first in here. Probably the bucket name. Let's just go look up the docs. I was trying to get away with it without having to look anything up. Not that it's that hard to check the docs here, but we'll go to the API reference because that's always what we want to look at. And somewhere here, there should be the S3 here. So it's really hard on the eyes here, this font, but we'll click here. And we have constructs, and so we'll go to bucket. And so here we have a simple bucket. So let's go ahead and copy this one. I was hoping we could just type it and it would just autocomplete. And it's usually pretty good that way. So we're creating a bucket here. I believe this would be the logical name of the bucket that will show up in CloudFormation. I'm just going to call it my bucket so it's more clear. I mean, by default, it should block public access and it should use managed S3 and it should force SSL. I don't want versioning, so I'm going to say no. I don't think we have to include these things. So I'm going to go ahead and just remove all this stuff and see if we can get away with it. As it should have intelligent defaults. Actually, before we do, let's go take a look at what the defaults would be. So we scroll down here. Does it tell us what the defaults are? No, it does not. What was the one that we saw that was specifying the versioning? I just want to make sure versioning is turned off because it's a bit of a headache if versioning is turned on. Whether this bucket has versioning turned on or not. The optional default is false. Okay, great. So I think what we can do is we can take all this stuff out here and just have this. And we're not creating SQS queues, so let's take that out. And we don't need a topic. So this should be all we need to make a bucket, and it should randomize our bucket name. So it looks pretty straightforward and simple. We aren't using duration here. Let's just take it out so it doesn't complain. TypeScript will tell you exactly what you're using and what you're not using. We're not using duration, so I'm just going to take that out. And so we have a very, 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 very simple stack. But there's a little bit more that we have to do before we can start working with CDK. So apparently we can just start doing CDK deploy, but it's going to ask us for that toolkit because if we don't have the toolkit, it's not going to work. So let's just try to go ahead and type in CDK deploy and see what it tells us to do. So we'll just give it a moment. My bucket should be created in the scope of a stack, but no stack found. Am I missing something here? I mean, it's in a stack. This is the stack right here. We'll try this one more time. I could have mucked up the code without paying attention here, but it looks fine to me. The stack's right here. My bucket should be created in the scope of a stack, but no stack found. What are you talking about? It's right there. Let's look at the Hello World example. Does anyone else notice the problem? Because I sure don't. All right, let's go ask ChatGPT. I'm getting an error about no stack for the S3. I really don't see what the problem is there because usually with CDK, you have the stack and then you have the constructor and you put in this constructor and it should just work. But clearly I'm missing something very, very obvious. So we'll just give it a moment. Oh, of course, it doesn't work. When we need its help, it does not work. Okay, so just give me a moment. I'll go figure it out. I'll be back in just a second. All right, so the suggestion here is CDK synth and bootstrap, which I said earlier that we need that toolkit file. So I'm thinking maybe it's just because the stack doesn't exist yet. So maybe we need to run those two other commands. I always forget with CDK, but let's go ahead and just type that to get the full list here. And we'll go up. And so we have bootstrap deploys the CDK toolkit. That's what we need. And then synthesize creating the template. I think deploy will automatically do that. So let's go ahead and do bootstrap and see if that solves our problem. It's probably what it is. And it's still erroring out. So there clearly is something wrong with our code. I'm going to go ahead and just comment this out for a second. And let's go ahead and hit up and see if that helps. It really doesn't like the way I'm creating a bucket. Now, it could be that I'm just not assigning it to a variable. It seems kind of silly if that's the case. So I'm just going here, constant bucket new. But anyway, this is going to set up our toolkit. In fact, it creates its own bucket when doing this. And apparently it's rolling back. The stack name CDK toolkit failed. It needs to be manually created, manually deleted from the AWS console. I thought we did. Oh, why did it fail? The following resource failed to create. Why? Because this bucket already exists. Okay, since we already have a staging bucket, this is not a problem that you'll have. This is a problem that I'm having because I already have this bucket. So I'm going to go ahead and just delete that bucket. Problem's unique to me. So sorry. We'll go ahead here. And it's not really helping. We'll just type in CDK. And say we have one here for CA Central 1. I'm going to just delete this. Empty the bucket. Permanently delete. But, I would say that anytime you're working with any language or anything with cloud, it's always a bit of a rocky start. But once you get enough code down, things go more smoothly. So I'll go back to my CloudFormation and we'll go fix that. We'll go ahead and we'll delete this. Delete. Refresh. Great, that's now gone. So that was a lot easier. We'll go ahead and hit up and let this try to bootstrap again. I don't think this is our problem. Now, I did add this part of the code here, so it might still error out on this. Still complaining about no stack found. Sure, whatever. And we're going to do CDK bootstrap. While that's waiting, I'm going to go back over here, look at the example that was here, and just see what I'm missing. Like, we don't pass anything here. It'd just be scope. That's how we would know what to use. And it's failing again. It's now saying something else already exists. We'll go back over here to CloudFormation. We'll take a look at our events. I just deleted that bucket. I just deleted that bucket. I don't know what else it wants from me. I deleted the bucket. We'll go back over here. I'm just going to go pause the video. I'm going to tear down that bucket manually, and I'll be back here in a second, and I'll just try to run it, make sure it works before making you watch me debug forever here. You know what I think it might have been? Is, see this? This says May 2022. I think what happened is that I didn't delete the bucket. We emptied it, but it didn't delete it. So maybe I just missed this step, but I could have swore we did this. Yeah, the bucket's gone. Good. Please just work. It's just the staging bucket it's messing up on. It must be that. So yeah, I think this should work. There we go. Okay, so this is creating fine, no problem there, but we still have this issue of it complaining about the stack. So that shouldn't be a problem because, again, it's going to find out via the scope here. That's how it knows. This one says construct, though. And then over here, this one says CDK app. So why is that different? I mean, constructs are ways of creating your own constructs. And I mean, we don't necessarily want to create a construct. We just want to create an app or like a stack. But the stack is right here. So what's going on? So that environment's been created. Let's go ahead and let's try synth. I'm going to just uncomment this here. Now, remember, we're following the getting started by AWS. So if we're having a hard time, what's going on, AWS? So we'll go back over here. So we did the sample application here. Notice this says sample app. This one says cdk.app. And this one generated out a construct. So the generated code is not the same based on what they said it would be. So clearly something's changed and it's not us. So I'm not crazy. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take out the construct here. If we just do CDK app. But we need to import CDK. It'd be nice if we had like a full example, as we don't really have that here. Maybe we can go and take a look at an example. Be nice if there was some examples. Because all I'm looking for is that that import for that one line there. So I'm just trying to find some code here. Project structure, and here it is. This is what I was looking for. And we'll paste this in here as such. And we'll go back over to here. I don't know if we have to do that because we can just say CDK app like that. So I'm hoping that this will resolve our issue. And we'll try this again. We'll do synth. All synth does is I believe it just creates CloudFormation templates from what you're using. My bucket should be created in the scope of stack. No stack found. What is going on? Can ChatGPT, are you back? I need your help here. Oh, thank goodness. I promise I won't complain anymore. Let's see here. It appears that the issue code is related to the context in the S3 bucket is created, specifically the scope parameter in the new scope. It stopped talking. What is going on? Come on. So we'll go here. I need ChatGPT today. It's something to do with the scoping. Come on, you can do it, ChatGPT. So the error you're counting is for my bucket is due to the way the scope is. You're passing in the scope to S3 constructor, which is expected to be an instance of CDK stack. However, in the constructor, class scope is of CDK app. Okay. So we can just pass in stack there for a scope. But didn't the code say scope? It did. All right, okay, let's undo this. Let's go back all the way to construct, and I'm gonna try this instead. And we'll see what happens. Because maybe like this is the new way to do it because that's the example that's showing there. Let's try this again. We'll try CDK synth. I think if you did deploy, it would do synth anyway. Okay, now it's generating out our CloudFormation, so that's what we should get. We'll type in clear, we'll do CDK deploy. And if it works, it works. But just understand that, you know, when you're reading documentation, it can be misleading or have parts missing. So you have to kind of piece it together. And this is me using CDK like multiple times. Like we have like in one of our boot camps, we like used it for like over a week. So It's definitely not a lack of my knowledge here, but it's just, again, cloud is challenging. You have to piece all these things together. So it is creating a CloudFormation template. It's doing that deploy. We'll make our way over to CloudFormation here. I'm going to give it a refresh. And so here we have our CDK stack. Not the coolest name, but that's what it's called. And it's created our resource. So now we have our bucket. And then it has some CDK metadata to help manage it, some extra stuff that CDK has. But yeah, there you go. That's the easiest, simplest way to work with CDK. Of course, we'll cover CDK more later on and more concentrate when we need to do that. But that's enough for us to get rolling here. We might need to update our gitignore file. Actually, we don't, because it has its own in the repo, so that's nice and clean. So we'll say simple S3 CDK example, and we'll go ahead and commit that and sync that. But yeah, I usually just use CloudFormation because it makes things super easy, or I use Terraform. But CDK is really good once you're working on large projects and you have a lot of programmers. But that's it for this. Well, you know what? We should probably tear down the resource. So I'm going to just go ahead and type in CDK here. I'm so ready just to leave CDK here. They're just forgetting to tear stuff down. And there should be a teardown command, CDK destroy. So we'll go ahead and type CDK destroy. But, you know, one of the really good things about CDK, it is easier to manage stacks in it versus CloudFormation. CloudFormation, it's a lot of work to string CloudFormation templates together. But there's a lot less moving parts, so I have more trust in CloudFormation. So that stack should be teared down. We'll go back over to CloudFormation here. Good. We'll leave CDK toolkit here. Totally fine to leave it there. It's kind of like a one and done thing. But what we'll do is we'll go ahead and I'm just going to stop this in workspace, and we'll see you in the next one, okay? Ciao.